honored.
These are parents, and sometimes kids will shake your plans up on a Saturday morning, and you can't do everything that you need to do. So we are very, very glad that you were able to make it.
And my children attend Maxwell Elementary. They're twins, Jordan and Jaden Dunn.
I am a former parent of Camel Park Elementary.
How was the scale-up success model communicated to you?
I was clearly at Camel Park. I had heard the term, but personally what I learned of the program under those particular terms were through my own personal research by going out to the school board's website.
I don't even recall the program at all, any information being given out or anything.
This announcement, where there was a meeting or there was a newsletter. So this is a single experience. So if we are engaged from this experience, there was not necessarily an adequate information session, would you say, or given enough time to find out about it before it's being implemented, or what you say is your experience would be informed?
I would consider myself very involved, very engaged, and very astute. I was at the parent meetings, and while the terms may have been used, I do not recall an initiative that was introduced and or rolled out to the parents to educate the parents on the Scale Up for Success program.
I have been very upfront with the administration that I think one of the fundamental issues at that school is that when we look at interventions for African American children, there are none. There are none. And I walked into a setting where all of the administrators were white and female, and I'm with parents of African descent, and I tell you, if I did not have the comfort level that I did, I would have felt very intimidated.
They asked me to pretend that I liked her teacher. So my daughter can pretend that she likes her. But I'm still going to the meeting.
It's your kind of story that we need to address, because parents are not being encouraged to be in that room. The parent that we were working with has been very saying Spirit Church to quit her job so that she could be in the school. And that was not responsive. I don't know how much more engaged you can be. And that's why we have to be careful when we fall into the stereotypes of saying African parents are not involved because they're there. It's what happens when they get there.
Discussing something about her child, she said she was totally intimidated by the teacher. So we're saying that the teachers need to approach these parents with compassion. These are single parents who are struggling. You need to approach them with compassion, and that's something we really need to stress that to the school, to have these teachers be more compassionate toward parents when they come with an issue, and not be so quick to want to defend yourself. Be a better listener.
Yes, a lot of things, a lot of parents are afraid to go forward.
They're afraid.
Yes. They are really afraid, and I'm not saying it's educational wise, I'm not saying it's ethical, I'm not saying it's just this fear that they have if their kids come to them and say, Mom or Dad, I'm having an issue and I need help. And instead of come forward to go to the school and fight for their kids or fight for whatever the circumstances represent, they're backing up because they have this fear, saying, if I go, I don't think that they're going to try and help me.
Parent and parental engagement is absolutely necessary for these scale-up schools to reach the levels of progress that we need to get them to in a very short amount of time. So if we hear that our parents are afraid, that we can address these issues with them directly and say, you may not be getting the engagement the way that you think you should.
First, a level of distrust. There is the appearance that we are not working together as a team, and I think there is sometimes an imbalance of power. So for parents to feel like there is an intimidation process there. I don't know if it's intentional, but because of the imbalance of power sometimes from the parents that I've spoken to, I think parents believe that they can't speak out against, some of the issues as it relates to the educational piece. Now, I think we can get down if there's a real issue, I guess a fight or something. However,
okay, so you're saying, I think what we're trying to get to is a relationship with the district where we're not protesting, where there are just simply open doors for parents who don't have time to engage in political activity, who just kind of want to walk into school and handle the child's issue and go back home.
But their ego. And I remember the first time at her last daycare that I had an issue. And, you know, it was something that definitely was down ready to, you know, fight it out. But it was very intimidating. I also run a mommy group on Facebook. We have over 3,000 members all over the country. And, you know, I see all the time people post stuff on Facebook, mommies. But I do remember being told that a lot of parents don't speak up. You know, that it's very rare that you have like such an outspoken parent.
Perspective are we doing to prepare these teachers to deal with all of these complex issues? Forming relationships with kids, teaching, so on and so forth. I'm not trying to defend a teacher being insensitive.
Oh, no. I was sorry. I was just canvassing the room to make sure there was somebody in the room who could adequately address that question.
What are we doing to prepare these teachers for this?
My degree is in elementary ed and special ed. I'm not taking any courses with which she's speaking about. That doesn't apply to me at the moment.
You have elementary education and special education.
Yes, sir.
And it hasn't been a part of your...
How many years have you taught?
This is my second year.
Okay, you'll have to do
Exactly.
it by the time.
That's my point, though.
Right. This is already your second
teaching
year
right
as a new
now.
teacher. And
I'm teaching right now, and I haven't taken those courses. So whatever I'm doing right now is still having an impact pre-taking these courses, which may have an impact on the way that I handle my communication with parents and with the community. Thankfully, I don't need those courses, but if I did, it would be too late because I'm already in a classroom.
Okay. Yes.
Chris, as a point of information, I heard what she said as relates to schools. Mary Carnage in this district was brought to Copeland, and we were told that Mary Carnage had been sent specifically to learn and to be the specialist to teach culturally responsive training in the Pinellas district.
That was who headed up my workshop.
We've asked for the implementation schedule, we've asked for the curriculum as well as the lesson plans, and we've yet to get those, okay? And the bigger issue to me is, you know when the teachers come in, if you're gonna send them to these 5 schools, what do you do before the teacher gets to the school? Is there a boot camp or something preparing these teachers before they get there? Because I think it's unfair to the teachers to put them in that situation and then turn around and penalize them or have all these negative encounters because they haven't been prepared to.
As a side note, I think you...
She sent that to you. I will follow up on that when we go back. I'll make sure send it to you. But it's not enough. What she did last year as part of the Scale Up Initiative was to go through the round of teachers who were there last year with the paraprofessionals who were there last year. But there clearly needs to be follow-up training. We're planning that. One of the things we're planning at these 5 schools is a summer institute where part of their training before school starts is an extra week of training which will cover content. It will also cover some of the culturally responsive and some of the parent engagement. We're also bringing Dr. Matt back from Harvard to continue the work she started last year at these 5 schools and to expand it to 25 schools, but to run a series of workshops so that our teachers do become better at parent engagement, because we know that with parent engagement, I think we've heard it today, there are some teachers and there are some principals who are very good at it, and there are some who are not. And we need all of our teachers to get better at it. So those are 2 of the initiatives that we're working on.
My primary concern at the time that I was at Campbell Park was that there was very little expectation for parent engagement or parent involvement. That was my sole complaint the entire time that I was there. The parent engagement council or committee that was formed, they were scheduled to meet at 7:30 a.m. It's already been identified that that Campbell Park had one of the largest percentage of parents without transportation. And I think when you begin to understand the barriers that some of the parents have, if I have to catch a bus and get to work, I cannot make it to a 7:30 a.m. parent meeting. Why? Who says it has to be at 7:30? It is my belief that that meeting time was more convenient for the staff than it was the parents. I asked about the SAC board. I have no interest in being involved with PTA. I was pushed to the PTA repeatedly. I don't want to raise funds. I want to get involved with some of the more organic and holistic issues of the school. And there was low expectation for parent engagement. We had a garden that was being planted. I was never asked to plant a garden. We have a garden at the school, and then you have outside volunteers coming in to plant a garden. I personally recruited volunteers there. Me and none of the volunteers that we recruited there was a plea for help. We recruit volunteers. None of the volunteers are contacted. We were offered positions to work in the cafeteria. I want to read to the babies.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And we have people here that I recruited to volunteer already with a level 2 background check. None of us.
Hold on, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. I'm sorry.
You coordinated volunteers for the elementary school and they asked you to work in the cafeteria. Nothing wrong with cafeteria work.
No.
I love cafeteria ladies. I brought flowers to the cafeteria ladies. I was just making
It wasn't a jab, but this was a part of my frustration. I personally spoke to Denise Ford, recruited her to volunteer. We both, my husband and I were already volunteers. We were seeking volunteer opportunities, but they needed cafeteria help.
Okay. So what are two other major issues briefly, if you could?
We did not have an active SAC board last year when I attended Camelbar. I repeatedly asked about meetings to be involved. And I don't want it to sound like I want to be a negative Nancy. I just want the best experience for all of the children. And while I do understand some people may have not inquired, but that was what was important to me.
So it's valuable because the district needs to know how the engaged parents feel and how they can make them feel more
We have
welcome.
to ask them to come and then have conveniently scheduled meetings for them to attend. If I gotta catch 2 buses to get home, I can't be at the school, at 7:30 or maybe at 5 p.m. We have to find alternative ways for us to meet. Why can't we have a conference call?
The biggest concerns that I have, my name is Candy. My child was at Melrose Elementary. I actually had 3 children there. And my biggest concern is not solely with the school, but it's with accountability. And when I say that, I mean with the parents, accountability with mom and dad, accountability for the church, accountability for the whole community. And my vision was to start something called the Village United, which is an action group, not any building or anything, but for everybody to hold themselves accountable for all of these children. So in other words, like as she was saying, there are barriers that most of these moms at the school have. From what I understand, in the African American community, 70% of our women are unmarried mothers. If you have a single parent household, you have one parent trying to bring in the income, one parent trying to, do the school stuff, and you have most of them living in poverty, in other words. So how can I focus? I remember about a year and a half ago, I was living in the shelter, and I had 6 children. They were all at the YWCA shelter with myself. And I had to get on the bus. I was a student at St. Petersburg College, and I had to ride the bus to 3 different facilities to drop my children off. These are some of the barriers that are going on. And the accountability cannot all be laid on just the staff and the teachers. I heard something on a movie called the N.A.A.C.P movie, and he said a mother is the child's first teacher. And whatever the mother teaches to the child will teach to the world. So I noticed that as I was coming to Melrose, I was sitting in the classroom, I noticed children standing on top of desks. I noticed them just walking outside in the hallway. There was these children feel like they don't have any control at home because let's say some of them might be getting beat or whatever's going on in the home. So the only power they had was to come to the school and show, oh, I know they're not gonna beat me here. I know they're not gonna do these certain things here. So this is my chance. I have the power now, and I know they can only do so much to me. So I'm just gonna take this thing all the way to the end. So this is, I want to hold the church accountable, meaning I attend the church. Why can't, like she said, she goes and her husband and her go and read a book to a child. You know, if in the church there is a such thing as the mothers of the church. You don't have older and wiser, and wiser women teaching the young women how to be better mothers or how to be, you know, a better wife or whatever, or what have you, holding the standards. The standards have dropped tremendously. I know you all see it from the time even I was just a little girl. And from the time that my mom's, so things have changed a lot. Social media is on the top. So when do I have time to attend a school meeting or come, I got this light bill. Oh my God, $200-something. How I'm gonna pay this? This is, at this time, this is my main concern. This is my main priority. And oh my goodness, something happened. Oh, one of my babies is sick. How am I gonna work tomorrow? I don't have anybody to watch my child. But here's this book or here's this homework in my baby's backpack. And I don't have the time to open up the book and read to my baby because I have other kids. And don't get it misconstrued, because you're talking to a mother who went to college, who had her own home, who has been a CNA for over 16 years. Well, why do you have children if it don't always start out like that? I was married and got a divorce and all these things fall apart. So the bias and the separation and the division must stop amongst us. So my concern is that we all become that village that we used to have. If Miss Susie was at the end of the corner and she saw Sally daughter down there, what you doing down there? Your mama know you down here? It's not like that anymore. People are fearful of what a child might say back to them, or they are fearful of what, I don't care. The little boy, somebody told me, you don't even know where my mama live at. Boy, I will follow you all the way.
You say, hey, this is one thing, let's focus on this and build this. What would you all say? Because it's not just...
I think that the district should see the parents and the children of any school as the customer, in other words. And they, like you said, I shouldn't have to send my child North County to get the best education. So in other words, when the teachers come in, whether they're 24 or 40 years old, they don't have that experience, no. But if they are taught that these children, they have certain situations, but they are just as important as any other child. They may have to do things that go beyond their job description because of the children that they are serving and teaching, in other words.
Having the experience of Camel Park, now Bay Vista, noticeably there is a huge disparity on the two educational tracks. I think what we learn in fundamental should be the standard of every school in South County. I should not have to go to a fundamental school to get homework.
Amen.
I should not have to go to a fundamental school to get a reading log. Camel Park, the reading expectation was 10 minutes. At Bay Vista, reading track was 30 minutes earlier on per day, 30 minutes per day. No homework every day. Little engagement, having to have forced signatures. I don't have the luxury of taking my kid to a North County school. When I searched out schools, all of my neighborhood schools were at an F. My only outlet was to put my child in private school or to go to fundamental. I literally was in tears that I could not get my child into a school where standard educating was just the base level.
This is a major problem. Were you as parents notified? Were you actually made aware that this is a problem?
And I'm the secondary parent on the paperwork.
You mean if you were notified that the school were
No, if about the scale-up program, that this is a new program that's going to be implemented at your child's particular school, where you inform like, hey, this is happening, this is what it is, and this is what you can expect.
I was not.
So it will bounce up. Another deep breath. Let that deep breath only have 30 seconds in.
Okay, my name is Joe Davis. I've had siblings, so probably for a long time. My sister has been from Virginia. I have been engaged in the therapy.
And none of these things that we knew would happen were going to happen. No, the evidence isn't there. And I listened to him and at the time the president of the St. Petersburg chapter of the N.A.A.C.P discussing this, things on NPR, discussing this on NPR. And the president was railing against this because it was a mistake, a very obvious mistake. At the time we had school choice, which was problematic in itself, but he continued to assure the community that this would not be a problem, that we wouldn't have high concentrations of poverty, that the segregation wouldn't be as bad as it is, but in fact it is just as bad as we knew it would be. And as a result, we do have, and I think this gentleman mentioned the expose that highlighted these schools, talking about the teacher turnaround. In terms of systemic problems in the school, that's like the largest problem that I see as a teacher at Fairmount Park. I don't see a reason to trust in the district to fix this problem. So I wouldn't be giving the district advice on what they should do if it doesn't involve reintegrating schools.
I learned of most of this through my professional work. But if you want to know how to help parents, ask parents. And I realize that, but I'm saying so many of the emails, so many of the communications that I've received, I received them on a professional level. If I was not connected professionally, I would know nothing about these events. I don't have, and I don't mean this to sound biased, I don't have a lot of friends that are in Citrus Grove. But if the bulk of my student base is coming out of Citrus Grove, we got to get the message to the parents at Citrus Grove if we want them to these meetings. Or if we want them to come out and to respond about what the real issues are.
Family engagement, the definition is any parent that's interested in that child's progress in school. I have one great-grandson. He has 7 people supporting him.
Yes.
His mother goes to the school. She goes with a grandparent and at least one of her sisters. She never goes alone.
Amen.
Welcome to the village. Yes.
Now we have trainings left and right on the same stuff, repetition, and it's nothing that's really being cohesively communicated, which is the reason I love the school system. But I say that to say this, the administrators in Largo have put so much on us, the state has put so much on us, the federal government has imposed on our educational system, and now we find it so hard to do what they used to do back in the day, which is let the parent know. Exactly. And I think if we could revisit that, basically focus on what we came there to do to these students and to these families, which is serve the family.